Good evening and salutations, my soap opera fans. So tonight, really simple question. Daniel Andre, who side are you on Beyond the Gates? Now, I made this no secret, but I'll sit there and say this, because it needs to be said. Because sometimes people always sit there and ask me, well, whose team are you on? Whose side are you on? Which team? People always sit there and ask, what team am I on? The only team I'm on is logic and common sense. I don't do teams. Okay. The way my mind works is I can generally always sit there and see both sides of a situation. Right? Now, one side may have more merit than the other side, and I can usually be like, okay, listen, this person is really right, even though I do see where that person's coming from. But I never just say I'm team this or I'm team that. Because I feel like when you do that, you start to ignore whatever side that you're on and the issues that they're bringing to the table because you're on their side, because you're team this person. But you know, when you look at Danny and Andre's side, you can see. For me, I can see both sides of the situation. Now, I think that people will sit there and probably look at it, and let's be honest, they'll sit there and be like, "I'm a man. I'm gonna choose that side. I'm a woman. I'm gonna choose that side." Some people do, but then there's other people that will sit there and see and debate. Oh, I'm more on Danny's side. I'm more on Andre's side. So that's the question they're asking. Now we're gonna be sitting there talking about all the shows, as you know. So let's get to it. Tamara's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Tamara says, honestly, poor Allison. I don't know whose side both Andre and Danny are acting childish. I'm be listening in. Okay. Amy's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Ed the Bank is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Allison is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Amber is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Queen of the South is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Shakira is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Danny's in the chat. Double C's in the chat. How you doing tonight? Francis in the chat. How you doing tonight? Autumn is in the chat. How you doing tonight? Autumn says, why don't Mike and Sasha just set a trap and catch Willow in the act? They need to put nanny cams all over that mansion, especially in Daisy's nursery, and tighten up security. Yeah. Okay, now you know how I do this. I am one person. There is 12 people in the chat. So I'm not gonna sit there and get to every person. Just understand that, and we'll have a great time. Francis says, how was Lee able to operate on Luna? Not a lot to operate on family. Yeah, I was going to sit there and say the same thing. Like, I would, yeah, literally. Um, that'd be like if Finn was operating on Luna. It's like, yeah, you can't do that. Like, or it'd be like if Ben was not there operating on Sheila, right? As if they both have points, but they were never going to work out. Why do you think they were never going to work out? Anthony, the number one YouTuber, how are you doing? Got tickets to see Superman? Yeah, I'm seeing it open tonight. Okay, all right, that's what's up. I'll try to see it on Sunday. I think Sunday would be a good day to see it. I'm not a fan of large crowds, so I know it's going to be a large crowd anyway. If I could, what's good, Kaiwan? I love this. I love this Willow gaslighting storyline. At least that was a coherent sentence. So you get points for that. No, no, I haven't seen it. Autumn. I I don't know. After a while, I kind of just checked out. I kind of just checked out one of the Jurassic Park movies. You know. Allison says Michael should never agree to stay out of the baby's life and let Sasha raise. Yeah, and yeah, I agree with that too. Okay, now Ed says Danny's not over Bill, and Andre has a thing for Ashley and want to be with someone out in the open. That's very true. That's very, very, very true. And I agree with that, Allison. Why Is it not? Spider says I'm on Danny's side because one Andre lied and it seemed like his anger came out of nowhere. I'm not saying Andre didn't have any points. He definitely did, but the was he was acting say was effed up. Okay. All right, that's interesting. Interesting. I love hearing other people's interpretations and their perception on the situation. I agree with Ed. You know, she was not over what you call it. She wasn't over Bill, right? And you know, number two, I don't have to wait on your timeline. That's another thing. I don't have to sit there and wait on your timeline. You don't tell me you don't tell me when it's right when you're ready to start going out, you know, start dating and stuff like that or whatever. Like I don't have to wait on your time. Double says on B&B, do you think Luna's aunt's gonna let her die? I don't think so. No, no, I don't. And how you doing tonight, Crystal? How are you doing tonight? It's good to see you. Hope all is well. As said Vanessa, Joey, and Doug, same pissed me off because Joey's a gangster. Why are they not letting him handle business? Yes, yes, he has a pinpoint. What's good, Tracy Steves? How you doing tonight? And Danny B87, how are you doing? You still doing your live streams on Saturday? I've been working on Saturday, so I haven't really got a chance to check out your stream. But first, as I agree with you, my thing is he was acting cold, like he went from loving Dovey to angry, like day one. I mean, to be fair, I get that, but like he has the right to be frustrated, right? Okay, you're still doing your show. Okay, I'm gonna have to try to catch one of them. I've been working, so I'm glad you're still doing it. Okay, and yeah, you did one 4 days ago. All right, that's what's up. But he has a right to be frustrated though. Like you think about it. I'm good, Crystal. Thank you for asking. You know, my whole thing is like you come in there, you're all upset, you're angry, and you're pissed off. Like you think I was gonna sit there and wait a whole lifetime for you to decide, oh, when Bill doesn't need you anymore, oh well now you wanna sit there and be out in the open with me. Um and you're back. But it says like, yeah, Andre has points, but he also lied to Dan because he told her there was yes, and yeah, and yeah, implying that he could wait till Danny's ready. I get that, but at the end of the day, well, one, yes, you do have a point with that. That's something that I would understand why Danny's upset, right? Because you sat there and said there was nobody else, and you straight up lied to me, right? So I get that, you know. But listen, like a woman's allowed to sit there and change her mind, so is a man. You know, I might have gave you the impression that I gave you a lot of time in the world, but now I changed my mind, and you don't. You don't have that time because I decided not to give you that time because I don't have to give you that time. So Danny says Danny and Bill will get together when he finds out Haley is faking the pregnancy. Yeah, yeah. And that was always a possibility as well. Oh, Shakira says was Days good today? Other souls from B&B. Days was I did a review on it, so you could definitely check out my review. Days was decent. It wasn't like oh my god, this is like amazing. I'm just not just saying it was decent. It was decent. Yeah. But it says I agree he could change his mind, but talk to Danny not going another date, not cold towards her. Going cold towards her, yes, I get that. I get that. But I see what you're saying, Spider. You're more on Danny's side and um you bring up a lot of points about Danny. So okay, I get what you're saying. Um I don't know. I guess I'm still in the middle because I can see where both of them are coming from. That's just the way my brain tends to work. So Autumn says I don't like how Lucas is running to Carly, telling him to tell Sonny that Marco has nothing to do with Sitwell's business. But I'm like, a war has already started. Sitwell has set fired. I get that part, but like, what's good, Ryan? I think the reason why I understood why she went there though, because Marco has nothing to do. It was good, Monique. If Danny's tripping, how's she gonna get mad at seeing Andre with Ashley? Like, yo, he's been sitting there trying. Exactly, that's my whole thing though. He's been sitting there trying to get with you and be out in the open for a hot minute, and you've been sitting there saying like, oh, well, I wanna, you know, I don't know if I could sit there. And, well, okay, well, now's not your choice. Francis says Albert the Kane storyline's moving slow. How much longer are they going to be stuck on that maze? I mean, if you ask me, I have no idea. But also, if you're going to be honest, Francis, you know how YNR moves, all right? So you know that YNR tends to move slow. So part of me is kind of like YNR moving slow is kind of his thing. It's like General Hospital with shootouts, General Hospital with action. It's like we kind of no, I get what you're saying, but yes, uh, no, Shakira Audrey was not on today, which has actually been kind of a good thing. As says I get Andre and Danny were playing it cool, but Ashley needs to buy a clue because they were dropping all types of clues. But the thing is, though, I think that she knew what was going on. She wasn't clueless. She just wasn't backing down. She wasn't clueless. Danny says half the town is still stuck in France for almost a month. I never looked at it like a month. Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Danny says Kyle is stupid and he doesn't. But that's what I was to say, Spider. She knew she just was not backing down. Just like she knew when she came back from the restroom. Give me 1 second, Ryan, because I'm gonna answer that question again. She knew she just wasn't backing down. Just like she knew um that Danny was not there talking shit about her. But honestly, talk to you from Ashley's perspective, she's like, "Yo, listen, you had your shot with Andre, and you blew it because you weren't ready, or whatever the case was. But you blew it." Now, okay, Ryan says, "Do you agree with Sasha wanting to leave town?" Yes, I do, because honestly, tell you the truth, here's the thing, Ryan. That was always the original plan. Okay, the original plan was always for Sasha to leave town with the baby, and Michael not be a part of the child's life. And Michael agreed to that. Whether we think it was the right call or not, Michael agreed to that. So now that she's actually following through with her plan a little bit earlier, Michael has a problem with it. But you agreed to that. Now, I didn't like it, but like um I felt like, listen, That's what you plan on doing. So like, why are we sitting there now acting all brand new about it? And you said something before. You was like, I don't think that um he should let Sasha leave. Sasha ain't no goddamn slave. Sasha's a grown ass woman. If she wants to sit there and leave town, then she won't leave town. I mean, listen, I like Michael, but you're not no goddamn king. You're not sitting there telling somebody where they can and can't go. And you don't have a legal precedence to that child because you agreed to not, put your name on the birth certificate. Now, as Terrell is an idiot, you have a grown man in the house, and Samantha could be upset because Martin knows her friend's family. Martin was in full Papa Bear mode. Um, was that a question, or you just wanted me to read that? Yes, I do agree with that. And he was not to act like, oh, well, he wasn't a total stranger. But the thing was, bro, you met him online. You met him online. Like, bro, whatever happened to a PSA of what's good deluxe? Whatever happened to a PSA of do not sit there and do not sit there and meet people you don't know off the internet. What are you talking about, Ryan? I know that whole thing. If you start to go into this emotional tangent, is going to end very badly. So Francis says 20 in the chat and 11 likes. Yes, hit that like button, people, because that does actually pull the algorithm. I mean, like I said, I don't, I felt like he shouldn't agree to that, but he agreed to it. And yes, I understand reality is like, it's different saying it in theory 1 minute and then seeing the baby, but the thing is, you agree to that. See, the thing is, she moved into that house, and I thought that that was stupid because it's like you're doing all these things, you're giving mixed signals, you're giving a mixed message, and people are like, so you don't want the family to sit there and be involved in the baby's life, but you move into the family's house. So now she's like, you know what? Listen, I'm. Allison says, is Sasha really leaving the show? I haven't heard any. I mean, I heard a lot of rumors, but they're like rumors from like Facebook, though. So. I tend to not really take those rumors too seriously because that's literally what they are rumors. But yeah, no, I agree with that. There is a PSA with his name on it. I'm not gonna lie, like the chick that plays Samantha on Beyond the Gates, that chick is looking good. But that's too freaking bad. She needs some ovaries and buckle up. Michael don't get to sit there and tell Sasha what she should and shouldn't be doing. See, this is the problem where it's like where I talk to you, Ryan, because it's like in your mind you think that Michael should just be able to do anything he wants. He should be able to say whatever he wants. Tell somebody where they can and can't go because you like Michael. So it just it makes it very challenging, you know, because you have this emotional investment in Michael, so it's like he can do no wrong and he should be able to do what he wants because he's been through bad stuff and all the other stuff. So, but yeah, that's my whole take on it. So don't get into too much of a emotional tailspin. Danny says Sasha had Daisy so they could add to that drama custody hearing. Long term storytelling, yes. I think it's a high possibility, Shakira. I mean, I've heard rumors that she is supposed to be on another show, you know? Exactly. Exactly, Allison. I agree with that either. Now Spider says crazy thing is Terrell let in a whole grown ass man in his house. Someone that yeah, exactly. And then he's sitting there spazzing out on his dad talking about what are you talking about? You're just crashing out. It wasn't that serious. I'm like, bro, are you stupid or something? Like, what are you talking about? He could have literally sat there and robbed the whole place, had people at gunpoint. You sitting there talking about, oh, you're just crashing out. So, yeah. Deluxe says, I missed your live stream yesterday, but are the writers trying to torture Dante? Dante? He lost Sam. Brock almost died. He finds out he has a long term lost son. Michael gets burned. Christina almost gets burned. I think they call that really good character development. Exactly, Spider. So, yeah, I thought that Tyrell was out of pocket. Exactly, Danny. Yeah. So, yeah. Um, Now, I want to talk about Kai for a minute, right? I want to talk about Kai for a minute because I felt like, you know, people had their own opinions in the comment section. I'm not even gonna really get to that, but I felt like it was a he was in a very complex situation, and the thing is, Kai doesn't know the whole story. Kai does not know about what Drew has done to Portia as far as blackmailing her. Okay. And you know what? I said this in my video, and I'm gonna sit there and say this in my stream. Um, well, right. Remember when I sat there and said that I'm not on. I don't do teams. I don't do sides or anything like that. Like I said, I can see where Sasha's coming as well as I can see where Michael's coming from. So yeah. Fly says at least Tyrell's slang wasn't forced today. The crashing out line actually yes, yeah. I 100% agree, Spider. And I said that yesterday in my stream, but yes, I 100% agree with that. What's good, Kevin? But yeah, he doesn't know the whole story. I don't feel, well, me personally, I don't feel it's about manipulating him. He sat there, he saw that somebody was going to frame him for something that he didn't do. See, Giuseppe never slept with Drew, and Drew never willingly took that ketamine. And that's exactly what Curtis was going to sit there and pay Drusilla. I mean, Jacinda to say. So when he saw that, he was like, "This isn't right." I like Trina and stuff like that, but from his limited knowledge, he was like, "This is wrong." So that's what I'm sitting there saying. It's not so much like, "Oh, well, he's just straight up a chain trainer" or anything like that, but he doesn't have all the facts. Now, as to the problem is, Kai told Trina he wouldn't say anything and get he doesn't know the whole story, but he went against his word too. Yeah, is that and yeah. And then he sat there and said that, well, he hopes that what did he say? He hopes that they could just agree to disagree. Bro, you just sat there and literally sat there and betrayed her. But again, um, oh, that's what I had to sit there and say. So here's my thing about Portia, and this is what people. This is see, people tend to look at this situation from other 2 points. I don't like the idea that he's telling her what to do. Like, well, you can't go or you shouldn't go. Well, if she wants to go, then she's going to go. What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and stop her? You're going to lock her up in a dungeon or something? Um, I understand why he wants to stop her. I understand why he wants to stop her. But no, you're not going to sit there and stop a grown ass woman from sitting there leaving. You're not the king of Port Charles. You don't get to sit. You're not God. If she wants to go, then she has every right to go. She feels that her baby isn't safe. And also, again, that was the original plan. You're forgetting that part. That was the original plan that Michael chose to agree to. So, like, what's the problem now? It's just happening a lot more. I actually tell you the truth, is happening a lot more slower than it should have happened. But here's my thing though with emotions and how people are sitting there looking at it. People are sitting there assuming that Heather was going to do something to Trina. You know, was good. Susan Michael agreed to not have his name on the birth certificate. Exactly. What's good, Susan? Monique says Portia put herself in the situation to be blackmailed. If she had told Curtis the truth from the beginning, Curtis would have come up with a plan to save Portia. Yes. And that's a possibility too, right? Danny says, I think Michael thinks she's losing it again. That's why he doesn't uh, want her to go. Spike Quick says, obviously, you're basically discrediting yourself earlier. You said if a woman can change her mind, why can't men? With Andre, doesn't Michael have the right to change his mind? Plus, he agreed to the strategy to not lose his kids. Yes, and I get that. And I said that. No, no, I'm not discrediting myself because I said that. I was literally sitting there saying, like, yes, it's when he agreed to that, that was in theory before he saw the baby. You know, he saw the baby and his mind changed. And I get that. Yes, he has a right to sit there and change his mind. You're absolutely 100% right. But you're not going to sit there and tell a grown ass woman what she can and can't do. That's what you're not going to do. It was good, Lisa D, by letting Michael Sasha have full parental rights. He has no say if Sasha wants to leave with the baby. He should have insisted his name on the birth certificate. Exactly. There we go. Yes. So, like, again, he agreed to that. Yes, he changed his mind, but you know what? You don't have a legal right. And, I don't know. I get it. That's his child, but, get it. I get it. As Jacob Smitty wants the truth, and his dad and his husband won't tell him. But I've seen in the previous Smitty over it and wants to know Martin's secret now. Yeah, I mean, just like we as the audience wants to know what the secret is, you know, and it better be good. I love the start of this conversation. You're looking way too into semantics, saying I can't let you leave, and no, you're staying. Now sit down are two different things. The tone matters. He's not barking at her. I get he's not barking at her, but he ain't going to be sitting there telling her what she can and can't do. She wants to leave. She wants to leave. You don't have no rights to that child right now. And you said you was going to sit there and sign those rights away. Yeah, you changed your mind, but that's a you problem now. Yeah, and I mean, I get that part. Yeah, obviously, Spider, it's stupid. I think that she does have some money. Like she's been working there for a while, but like I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I can see it. I can see both sides. So, um, and I'm literally sitting there saying that, and yet I feel like I'm getting so much pushback. And, like I said, Ryan, I said this from the beginning, so I don't understand what's with the bold letters, but I can see both sides. That's y'all want to see one side more than the other. That's cool. Anyway, Monique says, "What do you think of Billy and Jack brother feud in Paris since he found out he's?" Yo, I thought that Billy was so out of goddamn pocket. See, this is the reason why it's like I miss doing Young and Restless reviews because, bro, you are an ungrateful ass. He gave that money to you. Like he gave that money to you to sit there and support your vision and your dream. He didn't do that just where you could just pass it off to somebody else, you know? And he's like, oh well, it's still the same thing. You're just not trusting my judgment. Well, here's the thing, Ryan, and I'm not really gonna sit there and repeat myself. No, you're one, you're done when I say you're done. But there's no right or wrong in the situation. There's just a matter of perspective, right? Like your perspective is different than my perspective. We're not gonna have the same perspective sometimes, and that's okay. What we're not gonna do is not gonna act like little 12-year-old kids and sit there saying, "Well, you're wrong because I think you're wrong because I'm right." Nah, bro, we ain't doing that. So that's not how that's gonna work. But yes, Billy was just out of pocket. Like this dude literally sat there and invested in you, and you want to sit there and give him a little stink attitude. And you know what? On some level, Diane kind of had a point, right? She was like, "Yo, listen, what do you like?" It's the same thing with Chelsea. When Adam was like, "Hey, listen, do you think that um oh yes, Ed, we're gonna talk about that too. Thank you. Yes, yeah, but see, but the thing is, Ryan, it's okay to not have the same perspective, but using it there saying that I'm wrong because you disagree with me is some childish shit. So anyway, yeah, I just no loyalty to his girlfriend. I just literally sat there was like, bro, you just out of pocket, you know. And it's like Jack called it. Jack called it. He was like, yo, listen, you're looking for that next high, Oh, we got to get back to company. I got to sit there and prove him wrong and stuff like that. I got to prove her wrong. I'm like, bro, like, what are you doing? Oh, and this is for you, Danny Bear. So yeah, that was just out of pocket. I was not a fan of that. But yeah, on Days of Our Lives with Bonnie, yes, she's trying to compare her trauma, her situation to Sarah and Xander. And while Xander, like, okay, I get being in a toxic pattern. Xander was like, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna do better. He always reverts back to type. And she always sits there and eventually takes him back. And I think what Bonnie was trying to do is Bonnie was trying to break that cycle. Stop sitting there falling for the okie doke, or accept him for who he is, and stop sitting there trying to change him. But when she sat there and said, well, her man was like abusive and hurt her, I'm like, that's not the same thing with Xander. Xander wouldn't sit there and put hands on her. Xander wouldn't sit there and put hands on his daughter. So like that's the part where it's like you're like at but it says I watched days and do you think Xander and Gwen hitting the sheets versus Case getting custody? Um kind of, because they are still married. That's the problem. They are still married. So it's there's a lot of things. I don't think it's going to flatline it, but it's definitely not going to help. Um, I mean, ultimately, when they look at those things, it's like it's more about the child and and the welfare of the child. So I don't think it's going to do like you know the damage that. Yeah, I don't think that he was trying to do that either, right? I don't think that he was trying to do that either. But my opinion still stands. Yes, that's his daughter and stuff like that. But legally, you don't have a right to sit there and say at this point you don't have the legal right to sit there and tell her what she can do with that child because you chose that. You chose that path. So you know you get a legal right, and also again you're going back against your wishes. So like, yes, I understand that I'm doing a little bit of back and forth with Andre and Danny and Michael and Sasha, but you did go back on your word. You said that she can raise that child without any interference from you or the family, and now you're going back on your word. So I understand why Sasha has a problem. Um, but yeah, I think it was out of pocket. Damn, I was like, what else happened on Days of Our Lives? I mean, usually I take notes, which reminds me, I need to actually get a new book tomorrow. It's amazing how fast um one person can sit there and literally like go through a whole entire notebook. Like maybe I should just sit there and just splurge a little bit and like get like a bigger notebook because like this shit is yes he is it was stupid decorated. Yeah, it was. It was. And we can all agree to that. But I never liked that idea. I never liked that idea. Oh, and you know what? For my Days of Lives people, we're gonna sit there and talk about Doug who can't get anything right. We're gonna talk about Doug who can't do anything right. And Ari, okay, so the thing is, Ari now knows the position that Doug is in, and she's all just like, "Oh, I love Bad Boy, so it's totally okay now." I'm just like, and Doug, I can't with him. Like, I really can't. I really can't with Doug. I mean, girl, you sit there climbing ladders and sneaking up in boys' rooms. Like, what are you doing? Uh, I can't. Like, I really can't. Damn, I didn't touch this shit. Um, Also, if you're not a member, and I should be sitting there saying this more often because I actually was working on some stuff this weekend for Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not throwing shade. I just kind of, you know, I was just kind of over it at that point. Then he says, Ari is being stupid. She's about to get kidnapped. Yeah, she about to sit. She playing a game after around her 18-year-old ass who think that she's a grown ass adult is about to find out. Ed says, "Are you talking about Bonnie and Sarah?" I talked about that. Um, I'm gonna Ari and Doug scene. Remember Doug, right? Doug Williams the third, aka the town's new loser. Yeah, we're talking about the town's new loser at this point. I don't like that Bonnie compares Xander to Dave. There's good in Xander. Dave wasn't. Yeah, sh- yes. Oh no, we good, Ryan. We good. No, we good. I just, I have so many different conversations that's going on at one time. Also, who is Ari's father? Will. Um, you might have seen him before. He came back for a little bit. Will. So yeah, Will is Ari's father. Uh, and yeah, again, you are. Yeah, you are. I get the problem is that she didn't have anything to compare her situation to with Sarah, and she went to the most extreme case possible. Uh, that's why I sat there and said, I think the idea of what Bonnie was trying to say was you need to break a pattern. Well, in the beginning, Spider, I think I don't really remember, but like I know that that's a damn good question. I don't know if he wasn't sure at the time when he was with Gabby, or was he just like afraid to come out the closet and wanted to use Gabby as what they say a beard? But like, that's a really good question. But yes, definitely come through, become a member. Um, I got some fun stuff planned out for this weekend. Now, Danny says Will was into girls, then got confused, but that was after him and Gabby had blank. Listen, I rock with Days. I will always. That is correct, Amundo, Ryan. But I don't think he was always gay, from what Danny said. But yeah, and like also, for anyone that's YNR fans, which I don't really see a lot of YNR fans, um, you know, Sharon was not there telling Phyllis, like, listen, you need to sit there and really side with your family and stuff like that. You need to side with the people that know you. Well, Phyllis made somewhat of a good point, I guess, because like Phyllis was like, okay, but like y'all not giving me a chance at a job, right? Phyllis went to Sharon to be like, hey, listen, could I work at Cassie first? But Sharon was like, nah, I don't F with you. Okay. You're not going to get a job at Newman Enterprises. You're not going to get a job with Sharon. You might get a job with Sharon, but you're definitely not going to get a job at Jabot, right? You're not going to get a job at Jabot. So like, while that sounds all nice and cozy in theory, as far as like trust the people who care about you and who knows you. The people who knows her aren't lining up her pockets. They're not sitting there helping her out financially. So like, why shouldn't she sit there and throw her hat in the ring with Kane? Ed says Will had a feeling he was gay, but he really wanted things to work out with Gabby. And after he came out, had a fight with Gabby. They had a drunken one night stand. Hmm, okay. You Ed. Ed is awesome, by the way. Solidly like. I can't sit there and say I solidly like anyone. To be honest, I've never solidly just liked and I guess again, with me, Ryan's like, yeah, there's things I like about a character, there's things I dislike about a character. Like I like Sunny, but there's things I dislike about Sunny. I like Jason, but there's things I dislike about Jason. Just like I like Carly, but there's things I dislike about Carly other. You know, yeah, I like Jason, but I can't sit there and say I like him both because there's Jason probably has the least amount of things I dislike about him. I will say that. But I think that's just, it's weird, Ryan. Like, if you would ask me that question, like, let's say we were in a chat room or whatever, you asked me that question before I became a YouTuber, I probably would have said just Jason. And I would have said Sunny too. Um, the way my mind works now is that, like, it's a little more complicated because I can't just for me I can't just blindly like somebody and not sit there and see the stuff that I don't like about them. What's good, McCobb? Yeah, I mean, I like Jason, and I like Michael. I am digging this new Michael. I am digging this new Michael. Right? That says Will had a fight was. Oh yeah, but yes, no, I was yeah. That's what I said. Thank you, Ed. 'Cause I'm like, you know what? I was part of me was like, yo, where's Jonathan at? But I was like, oh man, Ed is literally just as competent and as knowledgeable as Jonathan. That's why I always sit there and say, Ed, you're my ace. Blackmon, aka Mr. GQ, is in the chat. How are you doing, my friend? What's good, Cherry? Um, it was decent. There was things I did like about it. Was good, Eagle? Yes, it did. It did. It did. It did air. Eagle. I'm good. I'm good, Blackmon. How are you doing today? Not Ed. You're good people. So That's why you and Jonathan was so like evenly matched. So yeah, but they do have a purpose on the show, Allison. They have a couple of purposes on the show. One, let's be honest, no one watches. I mean, it's hard to sit there and say what character I overall dislike. I can't sit there and say that because, like, I can't sit there and say that. There's not a character I truly dislike overall. The thing is, I used to be like that about Nina. I used to be like that about Nina, but I can see value in Nina to some extent. Blackmon says I'm good. Didn't like the Steffi today. Lord have mercy. She was doing a little bit too much. Um, but in some instances, I guess like her panically, I can kind of understand that. Queen Jess got celebrity status up in the air, and Danny Bear says hi. But see, that's the thing though, Allison. And I know it sounds kind of weird and a little toxic, but people like tuning in the characters that they dislike. You know, oh, that's too much of a hard question, Ryan. There's a lot of people I would sit there and be friends with. I think I would even be friends with Molly. I would love to be friends with Molly though, because like Molly is a very straight edge character, but I could see her let loose a little bit though. Yeah, but okay. Let me go back to your comment, Allison. There's a lot of people that tune in to watch characters that they hate, right? And when you really think about it, who are they gonna hate? What? If they weren't on the show, exactly. Maybe Spinelli. He can be a kind of annoying at times. He can be a little bit too much. Shakira, I would be friends with Gwen because I love her accent. There's something about a British accent that just, oh, just as you told Liz to stop stringing Rick along and she did what you asked. That's true. And do you know why? Because the show listens to me in a sense. See, the thing is, but I just have that type of power. I do. I have that type of, what does your generation call it? Sway? Yeah, I have that type of sway. It's a gift. It's this. And I mean, to be fair, I am glad that she did sit there and say that. Like Rick couldn't take a hint. It was obvious she wanted to be with him. Um, yeah, but that's the thing though, Jess, right? Like there's certain people you just can't be friends with because they want more, and they will sit there and tell you, no, 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 no. We could just be friends. That's totally fine. And to be honest, that's not fair to them if you know that they want more than what you're willing to give. Ed, I didn't like the fact that she was throwing herself at him, if we're going to be honest. Because I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You know damn well that he's not over Sarah. And you traveling around the world, you still sit there and hung up on him? And Spider says hi, Jess. Danny says Liz want Rick. She needs to stop. So you think that she's actually lying? Rick and Ava belong together, a match made in hell. Shakira says Sarah gets on my nerves. Sarah has an inflated sense of self worth because she feels that her love can sit there and change a man. And like, that's just not how that works. Allison, that would be bad, but I don't think that lightning strikes twice, right? Because we were lucky when we got Greg Bond's character. Just as Rick ran to Ava once, he got that rejection from Bliss. LOL. If only she knew she had the second option. Yeah, a cowboy named Cody Bells. Damn, Jess. We miss it. Yo, listen, I'm gonna sit there and say this right now. We miss seeing you in the member stream this weekend. Sunday was also actually tell you the truth, both days was good for different reasons. Um, Well, we know you be busy out there, life and living life. Allison says, "Great, yeah, that's true. That's true. He can come back. He ain't on days as much." Ryan says, "I don't know if I would say that Sarah has an overplaying sense of self worth as much. She's being naive. A lot of people think that. Okay, that's true. All right, I'll take that back. Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, Ryan. You got a point. You have a point. Yeah, it's a bit of both to some extent. It's a combination of an inflated self worth, but also naive. Because honestly, tell you the truth, like that naiveness hasn't really served her well over time. Like Xander would do something to mess things up, and then eventually Sarah would sit there and take him back. And then Sarah would be like, "Well, this time my love could sit there and work." So at a certain point, it becomes less naive and more about the fact that she thinks that she's just as wow. I'm so gonna try not to be insulted by that shit right there. I'll be forgetting about the weekend streams. Oof, hurt my feelings as a streamer. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Oh, now I actually have a reason to sit there and take another drink. Mm, 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 mm. I forgot. Try not to crash out tonight. It says, I need Christina, Rick, Ava, Alexis all locked up. I'm tired of Ace Mike. You know what? That's a good point. Yes. All their asses need to be locked up. Now, Crystal says, did Days ever give the Down syndrome girl something to do? Not really, no. Like, I mean, it's fine. Listen, she's a supporting role. So, like, okay, whatever. She's a supporting role. I wasn't exactly a fan of her calling Xander an ableist because he wasn't an ableist. He was just an asshole. But to be fair, like, he would have went after anybody who he felt that made a mistake because she has peanut allergies. So, like, that wasn't really so much an ableist thing. That was like, yo, you dumbass, you gave my wife, my girlfriend, the wrong stuff, and it nearly killed her. But he made a mistake, and like they sitting there acting like it was World War III. It's like Days want to sit there and try to do a PSA, and they just went about it in the most. They went about it in a very wrong way to sit there and try to, I don't know, prove some point, but it was just very misguided. Oh Lord, I'm not even gonna go there. New, 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 new. Hmm. Shakira says I heard Sammy will return with teams. Listen, I hope that well, for a couple reasons, I hope they bring in Sydney. But if they bring in Sydney and she is just as much of a disappointment as what you call it, just that Danny was so annoying to, I don't know why even entertain they even entertaining her. It's funny. Well, okay, clearly I know the side that you're on. Um, I kind of said what I said, but like, girl, at the end of the day, like, he didn't have to sit there and wait for you. Like, you didn't want to sit there and be out in public. You kept sitting there running the bill every time he sat there and snapped his fingers, and he had enough. And he had every right to sit there and be like, you know what, I'm done. Um, but I do understand the lie, right? Like, Danny was like, "Yo, listen, is there anybody else that you are, that you're saying that you're interested in? Just let me know." And he was like, "No," and you lied right to that woman's face. So I understand. I'm on the other side. They both need to figure out what they want. Yeah, I just, I hate, I'll tell the story in the memory stream. But I get, I get where Andre's coming from. Personal story, I'll sit there and say, just as I can understand that part, but it still doesn't even mean much. He's single, so he can do whatever he wants. That's true. Like, okay, I get what your snitch is saying. Like, she shouldn't have been that extra about it. Like, yeah, okay, cool. I can get the side eye to be like, listen, I don't need to rock with you. You straight up lie straight, you lie straight to my face. What she did was theater. She was the whole double talking and everything like that. Like, yeah, I get it. It was definitely extra. Exactly, exactly. It says the problem is nobody can correct Felicity. Anybody can be corrected without someone being an asshole. And if someone apologizes, that should be it. Yes. I mean, the thing is, I understand to some extent that, like, because Felicity has Down syndrome, it's going to hurt a lot more and a lot different than if somebody else took an asshole comment. But, like, unfortunately, when you work in customer service, you kind of have to sit there and, like, you know, you have to sit there and learn how to process them. Cassie says, "Hey, I've been everybody. Well, I can see both sides. I'd rather be on Team Andre. Just my opinion." Okay. Just says, and I don't know why Andre would ever want to be serious with Danny. She's a mess and obsessed with Bill. Yes. Yeah. 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 I don't even have anything to add to that. Shit. Like, I don't have a goddamn thing to add to that sentence. It's like, yeah, that was perfectly crafted. Ryan says, when you're talking about Sarah wanting to change a person, referring to Zen. Yes, because Xander's a bad boy. He has a reputation and everything, and she wants to sit there and curb that. Like, if you were Andre, would you take Danny seriously? The problem is, I believed I kind of would to some extent because listen, when you're with somebody for that long period of time and you got pushed past a breaking point, I can see you wilding out a bit. I can see you really wilding out a bit. Now, Jess, you might sit there and be able to be a little bit more mature than Danny and be able to handle things a little bit differently than Danny because we all got our own journeys. But I can sit there and see, like, maybe Danny wasn't, I was like, maybe Danny wasn't always like that, but she, I guess she actually was always like that. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, Jess, if we're going to be honest, Danny's not my type. for like so many reasons. But like, if it was somebody that was more my type, like physically, I'm like the wrong person to ask. Never mind, because I do tend to overlook certain things for well, other things. So I'm gonna shut up now. I'm just gonna move on. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Hmm. I, yeah, and I get that right. I do. I you should have installed that shit, but maybe it was just bad memories. As says Sarah's a control freak and wants to manage Xander, and then gets pissed when he be himself. Then she wants to punish him and act like she's the better person. Is getting old. Yeah, and I mean that's always been like the thing with them, right? So for me, I look at the Sarah and Xander fan, and they're like, oh my god, I love them together. They're so cute, and I'm just like, I think the problem is Ed is that most of those fans just choose to see what they want to see, and maybe like people like me and you kind of look at it from a more logical sense. So just as Sasha can move if she wants, but the baby is staying, I'm glad Michael put his foot down. And look at that, like in clockwork. Look who agrees. Little fun fact: I didn't agree, but as said, it was cute. It was cute for 5 minutes. I love it. Um, look at that. This is why I'm the victim, man. But he's so strict. Thank you for proving my point, Ryan. Well, the thing is, Michael agreed to that. Michael Michael originally agreed to those terms. Okay, Sasha was never supposed to stay in that house. She was always supposed to sit there and leave. So, like, Michael, why are you acting brand new to this? Like, seriously, you signed those papers. You agreed to her conditions, which I thought was stupid. But okay, broski, you agreed to that. That's what she's doing. She just moved up the damn timeline. It wouldn't have mattered if there was a stalker in the house, or she just decided to be like, okay, well, we agreed to this, so peace out. You agreed to it. And what are you going to do now? You have no legal rights because you agreed to it. So I don't understand, like, what are we doing? Spider, if you're in here, here's your cue. Swear, people. But, that's just me being the voice of reason. Wait, how could you not agree? Um, because Michael agreed to it. Oh, wait, I could have swore I answered your question, but Michael agreed to that. Sherry says, was anybody surprised that it was what I was? And of course, I became Boo Boo the goddamn fool, but that's another. Another case for another day. Yeah, okay, cool. I don't know. That's just how I looked at it. I was like, bro, you agreed to that. So the only thing she did was move up the timeline. She was already going to leave, and you already agreed. So so we just reneging on what we said. Daniel says, "I'm Team Sasha. She can take Daisy wherever she wants, far, far from Michael's crazy family and crazy ex effing wife." Oh, there we go. There we go, Danny Bear. Yeah, Vettis says, "I think Michael will leave with Sasha and the kids, and then he will come back with all of them and leave Sasha behind." Why what? Meanwhile, that I'm right again. Yeah, I'm glad I impressed you, Joss. That's just how I look at it. And you're right, Ryan. You're right, Ryan. Just saying, it's how I say it. Shakira says, "I play nuts. I play nuts Willow." Yeah, no, Willow is definitely like Danny says it's all Michael's fault. He needs to pick better baby mamas. They all crazy. Yeah, I get it. I picked a couple of screwballs in my day too, but yes, I get it. So they're thinking the fact that they had any kids with them. Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, I thought that start. Okay, to be fair, I thought that start was decent. Start was decent, right? But was she? And her split personality's not. But I have to sit there and think about the woman. Who's that stripper? Who's the stripper? You have. Kiki was problematic, so I'm not going to count her. But you have the stripper, Abby, right? Yes, Abby. Yes, yeah, Abby. Abby was cool. Um, and Kiki, not Kiki. Well, Star, right? As Drew says, Scout never sees her brothers. Takai, did he forget that Willow to take her mama place in the kids? Oh, so yeah, Sabrina. But Sabrina, yeah, Sabrina was boss. If we're gonna be honest, from what I understand, like Sabrina, like cheated on him. You know what? To be fair, I don't even know the full story, so I'm gonna take Sabrina back. I heard that she cheated on him, but I could be wrong though. Allison said yes. Star and Kiki were okay. Yeah, well, Kiki cheated on him. Kiki cheated on him with Morgan. So I don't know exactly how okay. That's true. Yeah, I remember that part because I remember Michael was snippet saying like at least Kiki wasn't crazy. Yeah, but she still cheated on him, right? So like he just It seems like you're not going to let that go. Um, he just picks bad women. That's just what it comes down to. Kristen says that Michael is going to take three kids away from two mamas. From two moms. Well, yes, but if we're going to be honest, Willow right now is kind of Willow right now is unfit, and I never actually thought I was going to sit there and say that shit. Willow is an unfit mother, and if we're going to be honest, Drew is an unfit father. So um, both of their kids deserve to be taken away. Man, 6 months ago, I would have never said that shit. Willow is so unhinged. Yo, I sat there when I was at the wedding, at the hotel, watching it the next day, and be like, damn, man, my heart is kind of breaking for Willow. She's crying, she's upset, and she just lost her kids. Where's Scout? She's crying, she's upset, and she just lost her kids, and she's begging Michael. Uh, these pancakes are so good right now, but my heart is breaking for Willow, and now I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe I'll blame the goddamn pancakes at this point. Brian says if Michael asked Sasha to give him a chance to catch the perpetrator, would you be okay with that? Yeah, sure. She was pushed over the Yeah, she was pushed over the edge. It's just like I sat there and I thought about that shit after. I was like, man. But see, that's the thing though. Willow shouldn't have chose a man over a kid. See, that's the problem with some women. That's the problem with some women. I'm gonna be honest. I've literally seen that firsthand. So yeah, yes, that's true. I just, again, when I saw, I don't know how Willow thinks Drew is worth all this. Uh, see, this is a problem. Well, this is a problem when you don't take counseling for dealing with your trauma. You don't deal. You don't take Jesus into your life. Not to get all religious, but I'm like, God damn, girl, pick a side. Like, pick one or both. I mean, I do think that she needs both. But, like, seriously, what are you doing? And now you're sitting there badmouthing Michael, talking about, well, he has two of his children. He has all three of his children, and I don't have any. I'm just like, Tracy says, what's going on with the baby situation? Is Sasha being set up to look crazy? Yes. Yes. Now, Ed said Jordan had to be the bigger person. Yes, because I mean, listen, I think most people have sat there and just given up on Curtis. But yeah, I'm glad that she removed herself from that situation because I'm like, girl, you ain't looking classy. Like, you know, you being upset that Curtis is sniffed there kissing his wife, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you are, you know, doing this. Like, ew, yuck. Like, what are you doing? And here's the thing: if she would have stuck to her guns the first time when she said, "Yeah," if she would have stuck to her guns the first time, it's sad some women would be with an abusive man and let their kids. Yes, and I've seen that firsthand. Um, I'm like, girl, what you doing right now? There's no class. You hanging out with Curtis in your itty bitty tiny little bikini and everything, and that's gonna be etched in my mind. Um, you're out of pocket, and it's a bad look. And you originally did sit there and say, listen, I'm not. I remember her sitting up there saying, "I'm not the best person to sit there and talk about this situation." But for some odd reason, you still had feelings for somebody who treated you like roadkill, so you decide to just lean into that in general. Oh, you mean that she's already 5,000? She's leaving the show? And he says, I think Drew finds Jacinda. Yes, yes. Curtis's dastardly plan is spoiled because of Kai, which Kai is again in a very complex situation. Because Kai doesn't know all the facts, and Portia, you did this to yourself. Hmm. Just to let y'all know, Kristen Storm is not leaving. Leaving. I didn't get a chance to watch the video. I want to do a reaction video towards um, the Kristen Storm situation. I don't think I should have said anything, but Danny says where I was watching and don't remember. Of she must of be bored. I need to do something. Google. No, she's not leaving. Leaving. I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but I wouldn't care if she left. Ooh, you wouldn't care if Maxie Jones left? Why is that? Very curious. Very curious. How about she says it with such little compassion? I wouldn't care if that chick left or not. Have a good night, Ed. And trust me, I feel you on those early shifts, my guy. I got you, Ed. You have a great night. And good luck with your early shift, my guy. Curtis needs to be alone. He's too arrogant and self centered. Um, yes. And act like he's blowing human. They don't make mistakes. That's probably why I don't remember her. I mean, I personally, for me, I would sit there and say that there's too many damn characters on this show. If we're gonna be honest, uh, like just from a fan's point of view, I feel like it'd probably be better if they just narrowed down the amount of characters in the show, give us more of a story with them, as opposed to just throwing so many characters at you and being like, I need a goddamn roadmap to sit there and try to figure out. Well, you have this person and doing this. You have Sonny and Jason Smith. They're talking about. Um, that is correct, Allison. Um, you have Sonny and Jason Smith. They have plot revenge on Sitwell by getting to Marco, the guy who saved your dumbass daughter's life. Um, then you're sitting there talking about Natalia's death. I'm just like, then you have Carly and there confronting Willow, and it's like you have so much going on, and then you have Trina, which like they just decide to just throw her on the show, like, oh, no, we haven't really seen much of you doing stuff, so we'll just have you do stuff. Let me put it this way: you could have replaced the Trina with a goddamn sock puppet, and it would have been the exact same thing. And that's no shade at Tavi, but like she wasn't needed in today's episode. She really wasn't. What to show just how much of a hard decision you think you tend to flip flop sometimes. No, I don't, Ryan. What I do is I tend to sit there and see both sides of the situation. There's a difference. See, the thing is, Ryan, as a fan, you tend to be on one team or you tend to side with one person, and you often sit and ignore some of the bad stuff that they do. Um, I will sit there and say I'm a person that sometimes will sit there and change my mind depending on what new comes up, right? I think that's just human nature. Right? You get new information and you have a different perspective about something. So it's not necessarily flip flopping, it's just like, you know, Shakira says, was now obsessed with Mikey. That was obsessed with just, getting that golden ticket and using her child to sit there and do so. Yeah, 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 that's literally it. And she just became very one note. And that's my issue um with Luna. Nell was obsessed with Carly. Exactly. Nell was obsessed with Carly, just like Luna was obsessed with Steph, right? This is all Carly's fault. This is all Steffi's fault. I'm like, really? See, that's one of the beauties about sitting there watching multiple soaps, is that you start to recognize patterns. One of the downsides about watching all the soaps is that they kind of tend to start to borrow from each other in certain cases. So with Bold and the Beautiful, I feel like I'm watching, um, you know, General Hospital offer again with the whole Now saga. Shakira says if you had to choose AMC and Will It Live to come back, well, the thing is, Shakira, is it's not exactly a fair pick because I didn't watch All My Children, but I did watch One Life to Live. So I would sit there and say One Life to Live, but that's just based off the bias. Um, I did really love One Life to Live, despite what DC always says. Danny says they messed up Luna by making her a murderer. They messed up Luna by the problem with Luna is that they made her a villain and then they wrote her into a corner. Now Ryan says you slam a character for months and then all of a sudden you agree with them. That sounds like flip flopping, by the way. There has been many times where you have not seen both sides. Here's the thing, Ryan. Like you pointed out, people can change their minds. And often with these stories, we'll see a character's journey. And we may agree or disagree with them up until a point. And then there's a point we'll sit there and disagree with them, or we'll start to agree with them. Because, these shows play out like, what's good, Jonathan? These shows play out sort of like real life in a sense, right? And your perspective and can change from one point to the other. So it's not really so much as flip flopping as in, well, there was a couple of days I disagree with them. Maybe my values change. Maybe their values change. So it's not exactly really flip flopping because if you really think about it, I'm not just going to sit there and just agree with them and just stay that way for life or stay that way for a whole year if I feel like they're doing something out of pocket or something that I start to agree with, since it does mirror somewhat real life. And I think that's my opinion on that. Damn, that was a really good analogy. I have to pat myself in the back for that one. Guess I just am that good. Then he says you can change your mind about a character. I've done yes. That was a shortened version of what I said. Yes. But see, that's the thing that Ryan says Ryan seems to think that that's flip flop. Come on, Albert, you flip flop. It's like you sat there and heard that whole amazing speech, and you were just like, "Nah, broski, nah." By the way, that was an amazing speech. Um, ooh, uh, Sparkwick says, "No, seriously, I was the king of flip flopping. Flip flopping is Kyrie's." Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Allison. You are awesome. Johnson says, What's this talk about flip flopping? Are we talking about Ridge Forrester?" Well, apparently we're talking about me. See, I explained it very well. But see, the problem is, Jonathan, is that people seem to think that once you have said something about a character or you have an opinion about a character, you have to stick with that for, I don't know, until like the end of time, you know? See, I'm going to choose to sit there and take this comment as a comedic. Yeah? I'm going to choose to take that comment as a comedic because, like, you literally did not listen to my well crafted speech. You just didn't. You just did not. Now, Allison says, when Carly first came to town, I hated her for over 30 years. The character changed, and so did my opinion. Thank you. Thank you, Allison. I appreciate that. I do think I'm pretty awesome, but I appreciate that. Thank you. But you say what I'm saying. Johnson says B&B was number one today. Well, I guess you have a point. I did like the other shows, but yes, no, they did actually, yeah, yeah, no, you are correct. I got some fun stuff going on this weekend, Jonathan. So I hope that you're actually there. I hope you're actually there this weekend. But yes, no, B&B actually did kill it today. Listen, I know people sit there and talk about B&B being like the joke of soap operas. Good, I'm glad to hear that, Jonathan. Um, it's, it's that's the thing, Jonathan. When just as far as doing this whole YouTube thing, it's like I get really excited But like, I get really happy when I actually do have like some good ideas going and stuff. Like just the creative process and stuff. Now, Danny says I feel the same way about Gwen on days. I didn't like her, but she's grown. Thank you, Danny. See, there you go, Allison. Allison, I'm so glad you're in this chat. I really am. But that's not what you said during our argument. You said you didn't say yes, that was Sasha was wrong for keeping Daisy with Michael, but now I think she is doing the right thing by doing so. Uh, Ryan, you have a sense of humor. But yes, thank you, Allison. Shakira says, I think Luna's going to pass and go to hell because she was wicked. And she was wicked. Nell was wicked. I mean, they were both like very one track mind. Uh, and it is a little unfortunate. Gwen is more that, yes. Yes, no, you're 100% correct. Oh, I think you know this, Jonathan, but I'm gonna sit there and say this anyway. So they're doing a new, they're doing a Family Feud celebrity like thing, and they have the cast, and I'll tell this to everyone, they have the cast of General Hospital on there. Now I don't normally watch game shows or whatever, but yeah, some of the cast members from General Hospital is going to be on. It's going to be on what you call it. It's going to be on Family Feud. Ryan says, I'm going to bed. I'm going to put my head in the oven. Have a good night, Ryan. It was uh it was interesting to sit there and see you tonight. But you didn't go over the top, so I give you props for that. So you got a point there. Yeah, exactly, Jonathan. So yes, you already know about that. Yes. Yeah. Allison says it's not about keeping Daisy from Michael, it's about keeping her safe. Thank you, Allison. Eagle says is Willow the next have the weapon. No, Willow seems more like a more diabolical version of now, right? She seems like she is. Remember the twins. I haven't. No, I have not. And I mean, to be fair, Jonathan, I don't know if I'm at halftime or, well, let's be honest, if I'm actually going to make time to watch, family celebrity or whatever. Oh, it's funny. I could have swore you said you were going to bed. You said good night. Well, I mean, that's fine, Ryan, but she cares, and that's what matters. And maybe you should sit there and spell her name right if you're gonna start to debate with her. It kind of reminds me of what I used to do. That's fine, right now. That used to remind me of what I used to do. You know the rules, Ryan. Just don't go overboard, and we'll be fine. Spiker says, Albers Ryan changes. That's true. Listen. I used to do the same thing. I used to do this same thing. No, you're right. Krista said GH played YNR off fast forward. Then he says, I need Dimitri back. Dimitri was an interesting character. I will sit there and say that. Johnson says, I'm really looking forward to the new Superman film. I think it's actually going to be a really W. Yes. If all goes well, I'm going to try to watch it on Sunday. Try to see it on Sunday. That's the idea. Ryan says, I want to ask you one more question about this whole situation. What exactly do you agree with Sasha about, and what exactly do you think that Michael is doing wrong? I just want to understand. But I just said it though. I said it like an hour ago. It didn't change. Michael's not just saying, I can't let you leave. And Sasha's like, hey, listen, you agreed to this. I'm going, and that's that. Like, bro, you agreed to this situation where I'm going to raise the baby and you're not going to have involvement in it. Yes, Ryan, before you sit there and say anything, people can change their minds. I agree with that. But still, that's what you said. This is what she's going off of. Okay? She wants to leave. She wants to leave with the baby. That was the original plan. So she's leaving with the goddamn baby. That's it. Now you can sit there and change your mind, but you don't have any legal standing to sit there and do that. Now, if Diane is the miracle worker that everyone claims her to be, then she can sit there and, you know, and then you can have legal right to do that. But as of right now, nah, bro. Broski, you agree to that. So, no reason to tell her where she can and can't go. If she wants to leave, she can leave. You agree to that. No, doesn't matter if you would said that. Tracy says it's Sasha leaving the show. No, at least not right now. That's the thing, Tracy. These are rumors. That's not viewed off of anything except for Facebook stuff. It's not about the bushiness. What's good, Kristen Ramirez? It's about you sat there and said that, hey, listen, you said you was gonna do this, and now you don't want to do that. Well, you said that, and she's gone. You have no legal standing. You have no legal standing. See, the thing is, Ryan, let me tell you something. I done said this like three different ways, and you keep asking essentially the same thing. I'm not changing my mind about that. Now, I'm not changing my mind today. I'll see how I feel tomorrow when I wake up in the morning. But as of right now, that's where it stands. You can disagree, and that's totally fine. Just don't get a meltdown, and everything will be all good in the hood. But that's where I stand on that. Alice says that she can't legally stop her at this time. Exactly. That's yeah, exactly. Damn, I felt like we didn't. Well, I guess we kind of did. All right. I'm gonna end the stream here because I didn't want to sit there and be waking up too late in the daytime to start this the soap operas in the morning. All right. But I want to sit there and start it. Everything will be all good in the hood. Absolutely. But yeah, I don't want to sit there and start off too late tomorrow with the soap operas and everything. So I should probably get some rest now. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. But I do want to thank everyone for joining though. This was hell of a lot of fun, like usual. I do want to thank everyone for joining. And yeah, I will sit there and see y'all for tomorrow's stream. Have a good night, everyone. Have a good night, Tracy, Ryan, Krista, Cherry, Allison, Shakira, Jonathan. Baby girl, I was literally sat there streaming for like 2 hours. Where were you at? Where were you at, my love? Where were you at? I love my diva so goddamn much. But Johnson says join us next time for another edition of So Chop It Up with Bostic. Johnson says, good night everyone, hit the like button. Yes, hit that goddamn like button. It really does help. Exactly, she missed it. She missed the whole goddamn thing. Like literally. But I'll be back tomorrow though. We're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow. I love her. Sassy. I was like, my truck broke down today. Where were you at? In Long Island. But if I knew that, I would have, you know, went down there to make sure he was okay. That does suck, though. Yeah, I was like, that does suck, though. I am sorry. I am sorry to hear that, though. Yeah. Yes, I'll be back tomorrow. Though. I am sorry. I'm sorry that happened, though, lady. Like in all seriousness.